Hey, my name is Joe Edelhuber from Trek. I wanted to share with you this new tool that we're working on called Trek Adventure, where you can integrate any standard into a book, into literacy. So today we're going to be exploring math standards in literacy, what that looks like, how that can work. Most of the time in math, it's just worksheets. Or just a lot of practice problems. Maybe you get some number problems worked in as well, which are always fun. Kids love story problems with numbers. So we're going to take a look at what Trek can do to really make that come to life. If you don't know about Trek, would love to share more with you kind of along the way today. But I've just gone to um, Georgia's state standards for math. Any state will work, any subject will work. I just did a video on science standards, but today I'm going to be picking third grade, and it looks like a lot of fractions. And so what I'm going to do, I'm going to put those into Trek. This is Trek Adventure is kind of like teacher side. And we're going to create a custom topic. And I'm just going to copy paste those in here. And I'm just going to kind of clean this up a little bit because we don't actually need the numbers in here, like the standard numbers themselves, just the context for them, right? And so just kind of remember what these are. So we're going to use whole strategies to solve real life mathematical problems involving multiplication, division with whole numbers within 100. So keep that in mind. And then we're going to represent fractions with denominators of 2, 3, 4, 6, and 8 in multiple ways within a framework using visual models. So Trek Adventure is going to be able to do that for us through a story. So we can add in custom vocabulary if we want. So if we want to put our spelling words for the week into the story, we could do that. Also, if we want to go across the hall and talk to our language arts teachers and say, hey, what are you working on in language arts? We can add in some custom grammar concepts. Maybe we're working on commas this week. And so I can make sure not only my story is going to have commas in it, but it's also going to stay on focus with our math standards as well. So it's a great integration idea. So Trek is going to be able to quiz the students as they read. And this is what Trek Adventure looks like. It is a fun choose your own adventure style platform where kids are going to be able to pick what kind of genre they want. Science fiction sounds fun for me. Um, And this is a cool part. When I do PD, I always talk about non-linear learning. What that means is most of the time in a classroom, it's almost scripted, meaning every kid does the same exact thing and they're on this linear path. We want to give our students opportunities to kind of go explore on their own. We know that that's best practice. And so Trek Adventure is going to be a fun way for you to do that. Imagine you have a class 24 students. Every kid is going to be able to choose their own genre, and they're all going to be able to choose their own story as well. All right, so we have our three stories here. Um, the Moon Crust Bakery, the Grid Garden Mission, and the Broken Star Map. It's almost lunch for me here. So, the Moon Crust Bakery sounds good. Leo's a young baker who lives in a shiny base on the moon. He needs to share a giant loaf of space bread with eight hungry explorers. So, if you remember one of our standards, there was a denominator of eight was going to be part of it. So, we could choose this book. And right now, Trek is going to be creating this book for the student to read that's going to stay on task, on standard for us. So if you are in a math block, you can work in some literacy as part of that. Think of like a rotation type thing, um, where kids are going to be able to read as part of their math block. On the flip side, if you have extra time for literacy or reading, maybe instead of just like a pick whatever book you want, kids. Maybe we do Trek Adventure and we tie in our math that we're working on that week to literacy. So Leo wiped Moonflower from his apron as Pip hovered beside the grid tray, which glowed in neat squares under a light projector. Eight explorers, one whole loaf, Leo said. Okay, so we have our denominators here, and you can see all of our denominators are actually going to be kind of present here. And this is a choose your own adventure style, so students are going to be able to pick how the story moves. ISTE has a ton of research out about student choice in the classroom and how that's going to increase student engagement. And so Trek Adventure is a really easy way for students to have choice in the classroom. Um, so Leo here, I'm kind of just skipping ahead just for time's sake, but both parts of the story that they get to choose are going to kind of work. So it's not like there's a wrong answer. The students just get to pick what part they want to do. Um, there's also text to speech available. So if your students maybe have headphones, something like that in class, they can listen. And we'll listen here for a second.
Leo slid the six minis onto a clean board and said,
So they can listen along, and then also remember just the visual thing that we talked about. So that was one of the standards. If we kind of go back here, so again, let's take a look. Use part whole strategies to solve real life mathematical problems involving multiplication division with whole numbers within 100. So this is a real life problem, and we're going to be doing part whole strategies. And then represent fractions with denominators of 2, 3, 4, 6, and 8 in multiple ways within a framework using visual models. Um, and so we get to see that Trek is actually doing that for us. So the students are going to be able to take notes. Maybe they're going to be able to write out, what were the math problems that your story had in them. And then you could do a walking museum afterwards and kind of go through that way, which would be really fun. So there's going to be a quiz now. Um, and I have not read the story, so I'm not going to do too well, I have a feeling, with the quiz, but we'll kind of go from there. At the start, what problem did Leo need to solve? This is our real world problem that we need to solve, right? Uh, yeah. Okay. I think that might have been it. There's one loaf. I remember there was one loaf. Leo remembered that one. Okay, true. All right. So, hey, we have our denominators that we're working in here. When Leo cut the moon pie in 6 equal slices, how many slices did two explorers who asked for? Four? I don't know, right? Uh, and then I'm gonna kind of burn through here. I got 13 points. Not too bad. So this kind of be gamified a little bit, and where the students can keep reading until they get to 20 points or 30 points or 50 points. There's no end to Trek Adventure, so the story doesn't really end, which is really fun. Um, and then at the end, there's a book recommender. And one of the things that I think about, uh, like I said, I have a second grader and a fifth grader and a 3-year-old. I don't want them on a computer all day. And so Trek Adventure is a fun way for them to engage with our math concepts during a literacy block or vice versa. But then they're kind of done. They get their points and then they're done for the day. They got to experience everything in a really unique way, but that's about it. So, our settings, if you have students with dyslexia, Trek Adventure can work in dyslexic friendly font in real time. It is literally just a toggle back and forth, super fast, super clean. The great part is teachers, so this is the teacher side again. Teachers can actually go in and see what the students read. And so they can kind of go double check their work if they want. And then teachers also have the ability to change their reading level up and down. So we want our teachers to be the experts. They are the experts. They know all their students. So if they know Johnny's, really struggling with this, we can kind of make it, work it down a little bit. If we know that Johnny is really crushing it, we can increase the level and really stretch them. Trek kind of does this on its own in the background, but a teacher can really dial in the student experience here, which is really great. Uh, so, in a nutshell, that is Trek Adventure. Remember, we went from math standards to a custom literacy book all in one. And this took less than 3 minutes total to get, from standard implementation to the students reading, and every kid gets to read their own book. If you'd like to learn more, I would love to talk to you, Joe at trekai.org. And we look forward to working with you. Thank you.